All right, welcome back to the Club Innovators podcast, where we interview professionals in the private club space monthly. Today's special guest is Kelsi Collins, the Director of Membership, about some cool or unique things they're doing throughout the private club space. So, Kelsi, real quick, just to kick it off, tell us a little bit about yourself, background, how you got to where you're at, and kind of what the daily, kind of job looks like.
Well, daily, everything's something new and exciting happens every day, especially as you know, for membership professionals, we kind of wear a variety of hats and we help wherever we can and do a whole bunch of things. But how I got into private clubs, just as a start, I needed a job when I was much younger and I was still in college, and a club in Fort Lauderdale called Coral Ridge Country Club. They needed somebody to answer phones, book tee times, and let those up and coming PGA professionals get out on the golf course and get their hours, get their lessons, do whatever. So I applied. I have great customer service skills. I thought this is great. They were willing to work with my schedule. The shift is awesome, by the way. In the golf shop, it's 7 a.m. or like my shift started at 6:30, and you were out by 3. So that was perfect for me. It was great. So I got in the pro shop and I immediately started making connections with the amazing members that were there. I enjoyed getting to know them. I'd see them all the time. And that's when I really started to fall in love with private clubs. And I really liked what I did, just seeing the members. And I kind of dabbled a little bit into the merchandising. So it was super fun. Then the general manager of that club, and he's still there, his name is JJ Selke, he approached my boss and said, Kiara Roper, who is the director of membership there, he said, does Kelsi really like working in the pro shop that much? Like, she's that enthusiastic. She's that passionate about service there. And it was true. Like, I really enjoyed it. And they said, if you really like selling Pro V1s at 6:30 in the morning, we have the promotion of a lifetime for you. So that's when I got promoted to membership sales at Coral Ridge. So Coral Ridge at the time, it is not tied to real estate. You did not need membership referrals. So this was something that you had to actively, sell and work towards and really engage these prospective members into, tours and showing them what this club was all about. That really just took me to another level. And I said, this is fun. Membership sales for me is playtime. Talking with prospective members, showing them why I like coming to a club every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Yeah.
If they're willing to do that, if they're willing to pay for that, I'm the best person to talk to. So it was awesome. I made a lot of new friends. We welcomed so many new members. I really, really love just the club, the staff there. It is so special. It really is. COVID happened, and the club was already on a great trajectory of welcoming younger members, families, 60s. Like, we had a really, really diverse group, but it was trending like really into the 40s. COVID happened, and that trajectory that was already going to kind of meet that capacity was already there. COVID happened, and it really just came to a point of like, okay, we have to make a decision on whether we're going to keep adding these people or we're going to waitlist them.
Yeah.
It ended up being that we had to close down membership. And at one point it was just, the phone was ringing and people were moving to Fort Lauderdale. They were like, who am I wiring money to so I can join this club? Right. My owners were complaining, but you can only have so many seats in the dining room. You know what I mean? So at that point, I sat down with my boss and said, where do we go from here? And it was in everybody's best interest, mine, the club's included, that I really take the next step and go to a club that has a director's position of membership marketing open and allow for me to take on a new challenge and do things. So it worked best for everybody. And I had interviewed at so many clubs. And this club, I saw this position open and I interviewed here, and I told my husband, I said, this is the club for me. I did a group panel interview with the department heads. I met the GM. I toured this club, and at the Oaks Club, when you drive up, you see Eagle 18, this beautiful hole. The clubhouse is in the back. The fountain is going. The sun is coming up, and you're just like, I love this. This is the view that never gets old. And that sold me. I did my interview and I was still living in Fort Lauderdale. So I was driving back after the interview and I called my husband and I said, you need to get moving boxes. And he's like, you got the job. And I said, I do not have this job. Absolutely not. You have to get moving boxes because it's either this club or at the time another option was to take over my mom's flower shop in Ohio, which I didn't really want to do, but I had just interviewed at so many clubs and just nothing was the fit like the Oaks was for me. So like I had my heart set on this and I was straight up like, it's Oaks or nothing. It's Oaks or bust at this point. And luckily they felt the same way about me. So we are here now as the Director of Membership and Marketing. I've been here since May of 2022, and it has been an amazing ride of so many accomplishments. I came into this club, obviously post-COVID, but still kind of riding that membership wave of COVID.
Kelsi, in our pre-game conversation, you talked about that even though the Oaks Club have had a long history of success, there was really a need to change the branding and really the narrative that the marketplace knew about the Oaks. Could you take our listeners into those changes that you felt appropriate?
Absolutely. As COVID was so good to all private clubs, the Oaks was no exception. Yeah. Especially being in the Florida market, this was the hotspot for everybody to move to. And at the time, during its peak, in 2021, the Oaks Club welcomed 120 new members. So that means 120 homes. We are a mandatory membership club. 120 homes sold that year. And with the resigning age of our members being in the mid to late 70s, they're being replaced with 40 to like 58, 59. Some have kids, some don't, but that is a really big demographics change. And what it also brings is people who are using the club roughly 3 to 5 times more than the person they're replacing. So not only am I getting a new face, I'm getting a complete new generation with new expectations, new needs, new wants. Additionally, the members that are now coming here, they hold several club memberships. So their expectations are different than someone who has only held membership at the Oaks. They've lived here 25 years. If it ain't broke, we're not going to fix it. So it does bring a new wave of opportunities for the club to improve. With that being said, they're coming to this club and they're saying like, wow, we kind of bought this sight unseen. This is way more than we had bargained for in a good way. Like, this is so special. This is so cool. COVID starts to die down, the wave of overbidding people and fist fighting in the driveway at closing, like that's done. We are now in a normal market. And I'm talking now 2022. I'm realizing that when I'm meeting with agents, when I'm meeting with potential buyers, there's a big discrepancy of what the Oaks was putting out there publicly and what was actually happening and what was, how were we representing ourselves when they came to the door. So the club began the process of doing an entire rebrand of internal communications, external communications, color scheme, messaging, photography, like everything. So this was a very, very thorough process. I conducted this process with Pipeline Marketing. Yeah. They are exceptional. They conducted an on-site visit. They were already working with the Oaks. So they already knew kind of what the Oaks represented, what it looked like, but they hadn't been here in a while. And when I say they, I mean Mike and Shannon Phelps. They came out, we did an on-site visit, and they were like, this is so different. There's kids taking up 5 tennis courts for the junior clinic. We're launching our new casual dining. A rebrand was definitely needed, not just in the sense that new colors and a new tagline. I'm talking, what is the message that we're putting out there on our meta ads? What's the messaging that we're putting in our newsletter for our current members? It all needed redone. We did it. And now it's more reflective of the diverse, the younger, the more active members that are currently here, the ones that are joining, and the ones we want to attract.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. And, when people hear brand refresh or however you want to use the term, I think they just think, oh, we're getting a new logo or we're changing colors or we're changing fonts. And that's just not true. This is something I deal with on a daily basis. Like you said, everything from the ads to the language needs to match who you are and, more importantly, who you're marketing to. And I think that's always a big piece. Members hate to hear this, but we're actually not marketing to you. You're a member. We're marketing to those outside the club or those possibly coming into a club. And I think that's a big piece. So I think, like you said, with Pipeline, it's such a smart thing for them to come on site, really see the club, even though they felt they knew it, be able to go back and see it again, which is something that I think every person in marketing needs to do. Because until you understand the pulse of a place, it's really hard to get the brand correct, or you're just kind of grasping at straws.
Right. And that's our job as membership professionals. It's the balancing act of looking at who your members are, but also looking at who's joining this club and tracking that data, showing it to your board and being like, I know that if you may not like this information, but the numbers don't lie. And we have to continue to capitalize and attract more of what's already joining here.
Yeah.
And, we do extensive data tracking through my CRM and presentations to the board. So it just doesn't stop. But again, balancing act. You're right. You have to listen to what the current members say because they are the current members. They are the ones that are paying the dues and capital, and we want to keep them happy. But we also want to make sure, in my world, in a mandatory membership world, I want their house to sell. When they're ready,
correct.
I want it to sell, and I want to make sure that they can leave on their own terms and not be unhappy.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point there of the balance. But another piece that you just talked about that I know we've chatted about before is that aspect of someone selling their home. And then now we're talking about realtors. And you brought up a really interesting way in how you interact with realtors at your club. I'd love for you to tell me more about that process because it's kind of multi-pronged. And to be honest with you, I'm not saying no one else does it, but I haven't heard it with the clubs we work with, and it's super interesting.
Well, thank you for that. I'm flattered. Right away, when I came to this club, there was a big discrepancy in how the club was viewed, not just with members considering clubs to join, but with real estate agents. There was this idea that may have been true pre-COVID, full disclosure, that this club was old, tired, it's a retirement club. And if you are under the age of 60, I'm not showing you property there because you're not going to like it. So right away, I did everything I could. It was one of these things. It was an opportunity that was just like thrown in my face with a, what's it called? A water balloon, but it was full of yellow paint and it was thrown at me and it went all over me. And I was like, okay, we're going to address this like right now, like today. So it was an immediate action that I have to get in contact with every single one of these agents who have active listings. That's where I started. Welcome them, introduce myself, and like we were already starting the rebrand, so we basically had to catch them up to speed. So what I do is agents who have active listings, they are contacted by me. I offer them the opportunity to sit with me, and I pretty much treat them like a prospective member. We go through a little like, okay, so why do you think buyers come to this club? What makes the Oaks Club special, in your opinion, from other clubs in Sarasota? Do a little role play, we get the conversation going, and then I share with them demographics of who's joining this club, where are they from, average ages, making them feel comfortable and kind of representing the club in that way. And to be fair, the feedback that I get from agents is, well, I'm from Connecticut. Are there people that live in Connecticut too there? Yeah.
Wow. Yes.
Sharing those demographics, even if it's just a few people, we do have Connecticut people here. It's great. Right. And I take these agents on a tour. We look at all the dining venues. I introduce them to those department heads if they're there. I give them a prospective member packet. I want them to feel comfortable being at the club. And frankly, if any of you watching this know anything about real estate agents are going to do their own thing, whether you like it.
Yeah.
You can tell them whatever you want and your expectations. They're going to do their own thing. And what was happening was when I came here, agents were conducting their own tours regardless. They were doing a showing and they were bringing them here. They were spitting out whatever kind of information just made sense to them. So there was a huge kind of missed opportunity there to educate potential buyers. I think that we were losing a lot of people, even though we were still bringing in a good amount at the time. But I think that we were losing a lot because of misinformation and misrepresentation from the agents at the time. So now in today's world, agents they all have the same prospective member packet. They have all conducted a tour with me, and we have agents that are members of the club.
Yeah.
I still offer them tours. When I first came here, I said, I know that you come here, 3 days a week, whatever it may be, but I would like it if you came on a tour with me, just so we could walk through this together.
And Kelsi, I'm going to cut you off real quick. Sorry. I like exactly what you're saying there, because I think that's important. We all see our clubs from the, whatever the lens is that we see it every day. But I think it's important to hear that perspective from someone else, whether it's them hearing it from you or you hearing it from them, because there's always a different perspective that can really drive home a point that maybe if you see it every day, you don't always notice it.
Absolutely.
When you see something day in and day out, sometimes you don't, I don't want to say it like this, but I guess I will. You don't always appreciate the unique parts of the club if you see them every day, but someone from the outside or someone with just a different perspective can point those out. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to throw that one in there.
I love that, because it's so true even for me. And that's why us as membership professionals, it is so crucial for us to do continuing education, to go visit other clubs, look at what they're doing, get a perspective, and then coming back to yours and maybe implementing things or maybe not doing things a certain way. It's all a learning experience. Transitioning back to what we're doing with the agents today. So they have all the same information. If something changes membership wise, I send them the fees and dues when it changes. Our fiscal year starts October 1st. So they all had the fees and dues. They get newsletters. The ones who are members obviously already have it. The ones who aren't members, they get it. They get the events booklet. Even if they might bring them to the club and it's not 100% of the tour I would do, or maybe, things fall through the cracks, at the end of the day, they are at least armed with the correct information and a brochure that represents this club that I made. From that point, we can figure it out together and we can go from there. A big thing that I see membership directors doing, and especially in a mandatory membership club, they will kind of pass the buck, if you will, on the real estate agents and kind of sit back and wait and let the agents know when you go under contract, bring me the buyer, or when you have a serious buyer, let me know, and then they can play around the golf. We don't operate that way. I don't believe in that system. I enjoy being hands-on. I enjoy what I do. If an agent calls and says, hey, we're not even looking at showings in the Oaks, but my buyers brought this up. I really don't know much about it. Do you have time for a tour today? Yes, I do. Your buyer saw a house and maybe might like it. They want to play? Absolutely. We want the more people that experience the beauty, the amazing staff, the food, the more people you can get into your club to experience that, even if they don't buy, that ROI is better than any kind of brochure, meta ad, anything else out there. That's it.
It's free marketing. It's free marketing.
Free marketing. And it just reinforces the fact that real estate agents and club professionals like us, we're on the same team. We're on the same side. I want your house to sell just as much as you do, because you sell the house, I get a new member. We're on the same team.
Yeah. Did you find that through these processes, Kelsi, that the realtors maybe started to talk amongst themselves positively or more about the club, and especially you? Did you find that they started to open up to you and seek out your advice?
Yes, I did. And they were also willing to participate in data surveys that I request of them through my committee meetings. So when we want to get kind of a pulse on who's looking at listings in the Oaks right now, or where are your buyers coming from that you're doing showings, those agents are more willing and open to share that information with us. And it is very, very valuable in data tracking and new member tracking for us. Additionally, what we started doing was hosting Realtor breakfast here realtor cocktail hour mixers. This lets agents in the area, it's beneficial for them. They get to know each other, they get to mingle a little bit, but we're hosting them. So I get to educate them on any kind of changes, large scale. So any kind of upcoming projects, the opening of the Overlook, when that happened, I hosted them. We did a tour of it. Demographic changes, initiation fee changes, hosting them, educating them, letting them get the information right from the start, but also letting real estate agents experience just a little bit of what your club has to offer. Food, staff, it's going to be positive. So even if they don't remember a single thing that you talked about at your presentation, they will say, it was so nice, the staff was great, and the food was delicious. You should call Kelsi and check it out. From that point, I'll take it from there.
Awesome. I'm going to throw a little improv at you, Kelsi. So,
okay. Oh boy.
I don't have a lot of firsthand experience with realtors, but what I do know at clubs that don't have a direct tie from buying a home to membership, there's a little bit of a rub as far as the realtor really wants the home sale more than the club to get their membership on it. For everybody out there that's listening to this, like, what would be the first thing you would do if you were at a club that didn't have where both of you are rowing in the same direction? Is there a first step that some of our people can take from your experience?
So I would say for membership directors in that position, if you can get an idea or just go on Zillow once a week, nothing too crazy, just see homes in your club's neighborhood that are for sale.
Yeah.
Those listing agents, their information is right there.
Okay.
Just shoot them a quick email, introduction, send them the fees, send them the brochure. If you have any kind of electronic collateral, just to get it in their hands that gets them and whoever, here's what they're going to do. They're going to see it. They're going to forward it. No warm and fuzzy handoff, no nothing. They're going to forward it to their buyer or potential buyer. And as long as that buyer can see it and get your contact information, you've already overcame and created a little bit of a sense of familiarity, a contact person that they can call the club and just, hey, is Kelsi there? You know, I got this membership packet and I want to talk to her. That person now has a contact name at this club that they can go to directly. That would be my best advice.
Great answer. Great answer.
Yeah, and I think a big piece there, I'm going to throw the marketing hot word at it, is you're humanizing the club, right? It's Kelsi at the Oaks Club. It's not just the Oaks Club. And I think when you humanize that piece, people love to see that. It's personality. It's different. And just like you said, it's a lot easier to call and ask for someone than it is to call and say, hey, I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to, and I have this question, right? People don't like to do that. But they can always say, yeah, hey, is Kelsi there? Hey, Kelsi, I don't know if you remember, you emailed me, and that starts off the relationship on a great piece. So I love the idea of humanizing yourself in the club right away, especially to a stranger, at this point, what is effectively a stranger, that you can make that connection with the club, and they're going to feel a lot better about it in the long run, especially after you start to communicate more and more. And it's always easier for you to reach out first and start that relationship. Everybody thinks they're bothering you all the time, or they're just not a person that wants to reach out and start that relationship. It's easy to continue an email thread once you get an email.
Good stuff.
Absolutely. And I think too, while someone is under contract, so to give a little bit more of context for this, the realtor programs I've instituted and the relationships now that I have created with agents in the Sarasota area, they I think they've worked really well, because now the agents they're doing showings, they're doing tours. They will go under contract with the buyer. The buyer's obviously comfortable with what they're understanding and seeing about the club. And they're like, hey, Kelsi, meet Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. They close in 3 weeks. Here.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like, my name's Kelsi. I'm the Director of Membership and Marketing. What brings you to the Oaks? It's, even though I have not touched them at any decision-making point up until now, they're already under contract.
Yeah.
They're committed, but now it's playing a little bit of catch up, which is great. It's less work on us. And I think that's why, related to my earlier point, a lot of membership directors will just put it on the agents because it's easy. The agents will do all the work, and that's fine if that works for you. It's just not a process that I believe in or I want to facilitate. So I don't do it. But when you get those people that have only dealt with that agent, either theirs or the listing agent, you're now playing catch up. But it gives you the opportunity to really like welcome them to the club. Again, humanizing the process. They're buying a home. They're joining a club. There are multiple pieces to this transaction that are full of strangers. Closing companies, the estoppel companies, us as membership directors, let's be that one person that here's my direct line. Give me a call. Let's meet in person. How about lunch? We can go over what your membership entails. That's our job. And it's, in my opinion, the best job.
So the innovators watching this podcast, you just got a gold nugget right there. Well done.
Yeah. I think that's just like you said, if you haven't been through the process of buying a home, I know I have, I'm sure you two have. It's overwhelming. I've done it twice, and it's, I bought one and then I built one, and it doesn't get any less, like you're just anxious the whole time. Like, what's going to go wrong? Is this, I don't really understand what half of this means. Thank God my mother-in-law is my realtor, so that helped, but you just have so many questions, and it would have been nice, like you said, Kelsi, maybe to just take a breather and sit down and have lunch at a nice place and just talk, because it's such an anxious thing as you're buying a home.
It really is. And it's and we're not that with the Oaks Club, we are not the homeowners association. So you've got a third party company, that's the HOA. You've got us, and then you've possibly the mortgage, the banker, whoever. There's 10 different parties. They're all calling you. They all want money. Let's stop for a second. I'm going to invite you to the club for some famous chili and maybe a salmon, the brain power salad with a little bit of salmon. Like, doesn't that sound nice? Yeah. Let's humanize this. This isn't a transaction. This isn't just, I'm going to take initiation fee from you. Here's some electronic onboarding. I got your check. Thanks. Goodbye. Absolutely not. From that, we do some ambassador committee work. I learn about their interests preemptively before closing, connect them with department heads. Like, I want this transaction. If I can make it more human, more smooth, make them excited to be closing on this house in this amazing community, I want to take that. I wanted to do that for them.
That's great. Really is.
It's a heck of a pitch right there, too, in case you're out there listening. Yeah. I've heard 2 great pitches on the Oaks, by the way, without you even trying. Just the view of you pulling up, and then the process of helping, while you're closing the house. I mean, it's a great job. I'm just saying. I know you didn't do those on purpose, but I want to point out there's 2 great pitches right there.
I think I'm going to take this clip and just play it at the board meeting. We're going to start off, hey, everybody, watch this clip, and we're going to watch it again in 10 minutes in case you forgot.
We'll get it clipped up for you. Perfect. So, well, Kelsi, I appreciate it. We always end every podcast, or we try to end it with an interesting question. So, Rick, I'm going to go ahead and let you ask the question to end it with. It's always a little bit of an off-the-wall question, but go ahead and ask, Rick.
It is. Hey, I mean, this is the Club Innovators podcast, and you've done a great job talking about multiple innovative things. But in the spirit of humanizing, tell us one thing, Kelsi, that maybe you thought was going to be innovative and awesome that maybe didn't hit the mark that you thought.
Oh, that's a good one. So I'm going to share a story of, it was similar to that, but it was a mistake that I own.
Please.
That was a lesson. And I think that it's important to share. So there was a very important email campaign that was going out to the membership. And it was related to the initiation fee increase that was coming. This was a few years ago. And I had scheduled it the same way I did, through the email marketing system.
Yep.
And sent it out. Great. We got a few responses as we expected, left it alone. Then some people were saying, well, this member forwarded this email to me. I didn't get it. Well, as we know, did you check your junk? Did you check your spam? And looking back, what I should have done was identify what is different from this member that's telling me that they didn't get it and the member that forwarded to them. But I didn't. I said, check your junk, check your spam. It's there because I did it.
Not my fault.
And I'm perfect. It's not my fault. It never is. We got a few more. And by the time I had told 3 or 4 people to just check your junk, check your spam, I then took the opportunity to go back into the system, and I only sent it to a group of members. Now, this group of members is the highest populated, it's our equity members.
Yeah.
But I was still missing out on the other like 30% of who use this club. So in the lesson here is, and I still do this to this day. Someone questions something I do or a number that I present, something on a report, before I even respond, I go back, I check it, make sure I know where it came from, make sure that I did it correctly, and then let them know. And in my world, it's okay. And I think that this should be a practice in every club, every institution. It is okay to say, let me double check on that for you, and I will get back to you. Let me ensure that this was done correctly, and I will let you know.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was going to say that's an everyday thing for me. I deal with people that ask me questions about marketing stuff all the time. And I'm just not scared to be like, listen, I don't know, but I'm going to go check and figure that out for you right now. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Yeah, that's okay.
Your image and reputation, that will serve you so much better instead of you just making it up. Yeah. Or if you're not confident in it, you saying it anyways and it ends up being wrong.
Correct.
In our world, it's okay to just, I'll look that up for you. No shame in that. Yeah. Own it and come back later with the correct answer.
See, I love how you answered that. I mean, you gave us innovation, but that humanity there, I mean, because we've all been there, you know, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's a great reminder for everybody. So, man, good stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know, why we like to ask that question, because I think that you learn as much from success as you do from, I'm going to call it failure. I know it wasn't in this case, but you learn as much from success as you do from failure. And more importantly, if you're smart, you can learn from other people's failures so that you don't do it in the future. And unfortunately, I don't do that a lot. I learn a lot from my own failure, but I try to always tell people, like, listen, I'm telling you this because I messed it up. That's why I'm bringing it up. It's not because of anything else. So when I train, you know, like our guys here in sales on writing well or email things, I always give examples, and they're like, where do you come up from that? I'm like, I did that. I'm like, that's like, so if you don't think it's real, I did it, and I did it at Capstone. So I'm trying to be, you know, super, you know, humble here when I say it. Like, I've been there and done that. Please don't make the, you know, the mistake that I did, because that's a real thing. And then I think it hits home to them. They're like, oh, you did it? You know, you don't make mistakes. And I'm like, yes, I do. So I'm good at covering. No, I'm just kidding. So I love that answer. It was a really good job. Yeah. So, you know, Kelsi, one thing I wrote down from this, I take notes. If you're listening, I have a big pad of paper and I write down things people say, because I think it's great for us to get ideas from. But I kind of wrote, the idea of today was creating a realtor ecosystem is what I wrote down. And I thought that's really what you described, is creating this really good give and take ecosystem at your club with the realtors. So do you have any kind of parting words for us before we kind of do the outro here? Anything else that you'd like to say about the Oaks?
The Oaks is so special. I know I keep saying that, but the Oaks is special. But the point of this, if you are listening to this and you are a membership director, I don't care if you've been doing this for 20 years, 2 years, 30 years, it doesn't matter. Real estate agents are something that every club, regardless of your structure, mandatory, private, corporate managed, it doesn't matter. Invest in your real estate agents, and in turn, they will bring you the new members.
100%. And I agree. And believe it or not, in our system where we work with a lot of clubs and membership sales, you know, realtor referrals are one of the highest returns that we see across clubs. So in case anyone, I don't imagine that you wouldn't, but if you don't believe Kelsi, I've got the numbers to back it up for her across 30 plus clubs. So I'm sure that's the numbers at her club are pretty high, but the numbers all across 30 clubs, realtor referral is a big piece of it. And I think that that's an important side there. Well, Kelsi, thank you so much for joining us. We love having this on the Club Innovators podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah, such great things out of that.
This is awesome.
We appreciate it. If you have any questions for Kelsi, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you if they just want to shoot you a question?
My email address is kcollins, as in Kelsi Collins, @theoaksclub.com. Email me anytime. Love to chat. We can go over all the stuff that I'm doing, you know.
I know you're active on LinkedIn too, Kelsi.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, shoot me a message on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
I'm totally, you know, we should all help each other. So
100%. And that's why I always like people to give your contact information if you're willing to talk about it, which I know you are. So if you're interested or you have any questions for Kelsi, please reach out. If you're bashful and you want me or Rick to reach out, we'll be happy to reach out for you. I know you're out there. You want to ask that question, but you're scared to reach out. We'll do it for you. So if you have any questions, just let us know. Again, for me, for Rick, and for Kelsi, we appreciate you guys tuning into the Club Innovators podcast, and we will see you next month.
Great job.
bye.